to everyone. My name is Osman Abdurrahman Nombor. I'm your instructor for today. And as promised the other time, I'm going to take you through the systems that make up the earth moving machine. If you are here and you have not subscribed to my channel, kindly hit the like button and click on the notification button so that whenever I post a new video, you will be quickly notified. I'm here for the purposes of helping my little brothers and sisters who have chosen this career path or to make this as their career choice. Even if you have not chosen this as your career choice, you can join us. There are a lot of interesting stuffs, and maybe you might change your mind and consider this career path. There are a lot of people who have gone through this and they are making it big time. Why not try your chance? Who knows? And maybe probably the way I'll be explaining things to you, if you grasp it and you think you want to give it a try, just follow me, just leave a comment, and then I'll be there to help you or guide you through. I mentioned earlier about these machines. Let's review some of the things we did. We talked about these earth moving machines, and then I made mention of this machine having systems of parts that come together to make it function well. Now, the main purpose of this is to make sure at the end of the day, it can help you to understand your heavy-duty machine. It can help you to diagnose well and to understand what you are doing when you go close to a machine, especially when a client calls you that I have a problem with this or that and that. Now, let me mention a few ones like the excavator, the loader, the dozer, the grader, the drill rig. They all extensively make use of these hydraulic systems. Some of them have air or pneumatic systems. Some of them are using a braking system. Some steering. Of course, they are all using steering system. Most of them are using the braking system. Most of them are using the electronic systems. Most of them are also employing the engines or the power unit. Let me use the power unit because some of the machines are using motors instead of engines. And I can tell you that 90% of them are employing engines with the help of motors. When I talk of motors, there are electrical motors, there are hydraulic motors. Now with hydraulic motors, they can't power themselves unless there is an external source that turns them. And the electrical motors, they can't also turn themselves, but you've got an electrical power supply that can turn them on, either from the batteries or from the main system. Now, let's take one and then break up the system that makes it up. Let's say the excavator. Now, the excavator is unique, and it is not a speed machine. It cannot displace itself to a long distance. It can only move itself within the confines of its workspace. So let's assume if you want to take it to work to a place about 2 or 3 or 4 kilometers away or more, you need to transport it on a carrier. You need to get a low bed to carry it, or else it will take a longer time for it to track, and also it might cause damage to a lot of components on that machine because it is not designed to travel long distances. That's the excavator. It can only move within the confines of the spaces it works. Just set itself, place itself, and then start to load, because the excavators are used for loading. For loading machines. Now when I talk of loading, now there should be a truck close to it, or maybe an area where you need to pack these materials, be it stones, laterites, dust, whatever material that is soft enough for the excavator to dig and to load. Now, these excavators usually load trucks. Now, when we talk of trucks are also part of the hydraulic machines that we are going to discuss. There are large trucks that makes use of extensive, or let's say mostly hydraulic systems and other systems that combine. So we'll be talking about the trucks as well. Now this truck has to come and position itself in a way that will make it comfortable for this excavator to load it, and then to load it within a minimal time. It should take a small amount of time to load this truck, so that the work could be efficient, and then there will be no waste of time or production. It has to be productive. Now let me break up the systems that makes up these machines: the excavator, the loader, the dozer, the grader, the drill rig. Now they employ some of these systems, could be found on some, and then you may not find some on other systems. So I'm just lumping them all together to bring you all the systems. Now when we pick the machines, whatever system that is included there, we can talk about it. If that system is not included, we leave it. What are these systems that I'm talking about? Let's take an example of the human being. Now you have your heart, you have your head, you have your eyes, you have your nose, you have your hands, you have your legs. Now all these parts, human parts, come together to make you function wholly. These machines have similar parts. Now let's break these machines down. Their parts are the ones that I refer to as systems. Now each system is made up of subsystems. What are some of these systems I'm talking about? Now we can't start with the heart. We can't start without the heart of the human being. If your heart stops, you stop. Now these machines, their hearts are their power unit. When I say the power unit, the engine or the motor that drives it. Now when we say the power engine, the power unit or the motor that drives it, some of the machines don't use engines. Few of them, but a lot of them usually employ the engine as their power unit. These engines can be driven by petrol or gasoline or diesel. Now, if it's either petrol or gasoline, where we have the term for it as either a spark ignition or a compression ignition. Compression ignition is the diesel, and then the spark ignition is the gasoline or petrol. Now, I may not go deep into this, but this is what supplies the other power remaining to do everything on the machine. So that is the power unit. Now we go next. We have the electrical system. Now before the power unit starts, the operator has to put a key in the operator compartment that is a remote from the engine. Then this electrical system has subsystems that combine together to send the driver's or the operator's intention to the engine to tell it that I want to turn you, I want you to come on. I want you to start. I want you to start producing power for me. And it just turns the key, and then a signal is sent to the starter motor for the starter motor to turn the engine. And this electrical system, if this engine is electronic, it gets signals. Be told that this engine is turning at this speed. The starter is turning the engine at this particular speed. Okay, the cylinder is hot enough. Then this electronic, if it's electronic engine, can decide, well, it's hot enough for me to inject fuel into it for it to start. Then the engine will start. Now, this is part of the function of the electrical system. When the engine starts, now this electrical system has to do other things apart from just supplying power to the electric starter motor. Some of these machines, some of these machines don't employ electric starter motors. They actually use air starting motors. Some of large machines employ air starting motors. Some of the machines employ one, some up to two starter motors just to crank the engine. So let me not go deep into that. We'll get back to that. Now we go to what system? The electrical system. Let's continue on the electrical system. Sometimes you may be working deep in the night. You need to see in front of you and around the machine. So you have to supply it with its lighting needs. Now, the lighting needs of this machine should be able to come from other source than the battery. As if the battery continues to do this, it's going to drain. So part of the electrical system is the charging system. The charging system has to come in and take over the supply of current to every part of the machine. To every part of the machine, including charging the battery. So that is part of the function of the electrical system. Now let's go to the next system. Well, the next system is the steering system. Let's talk about the steering system. Now, the steering system is basically required to move the machine. Whilst moving the machine, you need to control the path taken by the machine. So this path taken by the machine is controlled by the steering system. It could be a steering wheel. Nowadays we have a lot of machines that doesn't need steering wheels to control the path. Some of them use controls, fingertip controls. The machines could be as huge as what? Even a child could move the lever and make the machine turn to whichever angle it wants, left, right, side, left, right, etc. And there are some steering systems that could, most conventional steering systems turn the front wheels. There are some that operate the rear wheels instead of the front wheels, like our forklifts. And there are some that could steer, if the machine is having 4 wheels, that will steer all 4 wheels.